Okay, before we get started, let's try that Zappos thing again.
Yeah,
so,
I got 2 claps.
Lisa's here from Zappos. Woo! Much better. I must say, okay, so other than marketing to my wife, which by itself would keep you guys in business.
We love her.
Yeah, you have good reason to love her. So Zappos is a great brand, well known, probably everybody here knows it. But you've got a lot of competitors. What are you doing to sort of stay ahead of all of them and stay on the cutting edge for what your customers are looking for?
Yeah, so we're clearly trying to be on the front end of everything. We have a long way to go. We work hard every day. We're by no stretch ahead of the game. But one of the couple cool things, everyone in this room probably has a shitload of data, right? We have a lot of data. And for us, the data really is at the core of our organization, a big piece of the insights we glean from our consumers. So the data helps us stay very much in touch with the customer. It's a big deal for us because in order to know anything, our analytics team is in the data every day. So our analytics group works across the organization, and I think they're so embedded in everything we do. I think for those companies that analytics is just over there reporting after the fact, we bring our analytics team in right when we're starting to even concept a test. Like, how are we going to prove this up? Like, how do we set it up? How do we report on it? And they're tasked with knowing our customer, a 360-degree view of our customer in real time every day. So as an order comes in online or comes into the call center, these analytics teams are parsing, slicing, and dicing, and serving up reports and pushing this information out in real time. So for us, one of the things we do is we super in touch with our customer through our data. And I think, most people are.
Well, we were just talking about one of the things you've been doing recently, so why don't you
so one of the transitions we're making is moving from, ROI is always going to be major, a big deal. There's no doubt about that. But we're moving into starting to focus on lifetime value of a consumer. So as we're bringing folks in, and when they first come to us, we don't have a lot of data on them. That's where third-party data becomes very important. But we've got our first party. We know a little bit about them. But we're trying to now start to forecast out what is the lifetime value of these cohorts that are coming in. So we're transitioning to doing that versus just ROI. Are we making money? That is less important to us than understanding the lifetime value and the life cycle of a consumer so we can be more relevant to them. That's really a shift for us as of recently, and it's how we're staying in touch with the customer versus just making money. One of the ways.
So Eric, ChoiceStream describes itself as a programmatic company. Before we ask any deeper questions, why don't you first tell everybody how you guys define programmatic and what you're doing, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So, my simple definition of programmatic in advertising is that it is a technical mechanism where you can purchase individual ad impressions one at a time. So it finally breaks that paradigm of bundling. Since the beginning of time when advertising, if you bought print or TV, you were just getting all the eyeballs in one big chunk. And some of them might have been qualified and some might not. And programmatic allows you to go one impression at a time to say, based on the data, and this is where like Lisa and I bond a lot and geek out a little bit, is based on the data, you could figure out, well, is this impression a good impression for Zappos? Or is this impression not a good impression for Zappos? Or should I pay less for it? So to me, as long as you have an approach that's sort of machine driven and looks at data to pick impressions one at a time, that would be my broad definition of programmatic.
And you've worked with Zappos on this one interesting campaign that brings in a very unusual set of data, or data you wouldn't think Zappos at least would be using.
Well, exactly. We, like Lisa mentioned, so Zappos has all of their customer data, but of course, like most companies, they not only want to retain and get the lifetime value from Zappos, but also acquire new customers. And that's really where ChoiceStream, I think, the expertise comes into play. We've focused from day one of the advertising in programmatic on how do we leverage the incredible data set that's available in programmatic to help companies do customer acquisition and prospecting. And I forget, I think think it was maybe in San Diego, we were having this conversation of like, wouldn't it be cool if like you could like show people stuff based on the weather conditions? Because if you think about it with clothes, you know, so like you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do, you open your blinds, you look outside to see what's the weather like. And if it's raining, you'll like put on a rain slicker. And if it's hot and sunny, you'll put up some shorts and flip-flops. And we're like, can we bring this to an advertising campaign? That was a challenge that was laid at our doorstep.
Yeah,
you know,
we literally, I'll just interject.
Sure.
We literally said to these guys, hey, like we've been thinking weather for years. I mean, Tammy's in the audience and she and I sit there and go, how can we figure out how to bring weather? And we know that people care, and we have overnight free shipping. That's a value prop that we love to talk about, but we wanted to make sure that if it's going to rain in your neighborhood, how do we stay personal with you and show you something that's relevant for you? So like, you know, hey, tomorrow it's going to snow, get your UGG boots. Tomorrow morning, right, with us. So that was one of the things we do, you know, next day forecasting. We did a 5-day forecast, 7 days. So we've got these different sites, and we know enough about the consumer with the third-party data. So we know it's a mom, she's a mom. We know she has 2 kids. She likes yoga. So, you know, we can talk to her and show her value props that are important to her, but offer her products that are relative to the weather. And the weather, it just, fantastic results. Just because we're talking to you about your area, and I think people like that personalization. It's one of the areas. The dynamic ads along with weather, phenomenal.
And Eric, do you want to talk any more about what you're doing behind the curtain
Yeah.
to make that kind of thing work?
Well, yeah, exactly. So, you know, in good startup fashion, when Lisa asked us, well, can you guys do weather-based creative? Of course, we had never done this ever. And
But you said yes anyway.
You
right?
know,
That's
we
the
needed
startup.
to, you know,
They did that.
we're much bigger now, but small, scrappy startup needed to make payroll. The only answer was yes, right? And turns out Weather Underground, credit card in hand, can give you a nice weather API feed. They still charge my credit card to this day for the Zappos campaign. And so we started looking at how can we get the data information, but then how do you bring together the elements that Lisa talked to? Because there's really 3 things that are coming together all at once in the final touch point with the consumer. It's what's that consumer's weather? Who is that person? Is that person, is it a man or a woman? Are they interested in, you know, are they younger or older? Are they stylish or more conservative? And then finally, what products does Zappos have from their enormous catalog of products? What products do they have that might appeal to this consumer for those weather conditions? And all 3 of those have to come all at once in real time, if you will, to make the most customized ad.
Yeah, that decisioning has to happen at the time that impression's being rendered, that ad's being rendered. So it's like, it's milliseconds, or you know that stuff.
Some fraction.
Whatever,
of a
some
second.
really fast.
And I take it, by the way, you're talking, you're pleased with the way this has all worked out, and that
Yeah, we are.
their ability to tell the weather is a little better than the guy on TV.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, our we turned into a weather forecasting startup. You know, soon we'll pivot away from advertising to like take on TV weather.
Of course, if you move here, you never have to worry about it.
That was a joke. No.
And you've got some other news you're announcing this week, right?
Yeah, so this has been an exciting this week and last week. Last week we announced that we got a Series B funding, which, you know, always exciting for venture-backed startups to get more venture capital to keep on going. So that was great. And this week we're announcing some of what we're using that capital for, which is a launch of our analytics console. So we've, as a company, we've always been, I tend to think of us as inside out as a company. All the people we've ever hired are like data geeks and algorithm engineers. And so, you know, everything that we've done for marketing is like look at data, target data, build systems that can do bidding. And then when our customers ask us, well, what's going on? What did your system do? People who work for me need to like go into a database, do SQL queries to like figure out what happened and then put them in PowerPoint. And now we've automated all of that and have a user-facing console that people can log in and get really deep insights about the types of audience that interact with the ads, how they fare on engagement and conversion. So it starts to paint a really interesting picture.
Is that
I can
available?
vouch for the fact that when Lisa heard this backstage, she was genuinely excited.
Yeah.
At the notion that she gets to put her fingers on the control panel now.
Is it open now? Like it's available today?
I can give you a login after this session.
Seriously.
Absolutely.
Why don't we just do a demo? So when you're looking for help with this thing we now call programmatic ad buying, what types of things are you looking for? What is Zappos looking for in a partner?
In a tech
In a programmatic.
Yeah. We kind of approach this with anybody, whether it's a media partner, a tech partner, you know, all of our merchandising buyers, anybody we work with, these same kind of attributes are important to us. You said it earlier, scrappy. Like Zappos is by no stretch a true startup. We're 1,500 people out in Las Vegas. But we still follow this lean startup, which is a phenomenal book. We still follow this mentality. And so we look for partners that are very much design partners. Somebody, which is what we became when we said, hey, we're thinking of doing this weather, can you help us? And they're like, we've never done it. And I'm like, well, we've never done it, and so let's try it together. They were very open to that. So to us, it's those scrappy and agile startup mentality. You know, somebody that also is just super immersed in customer service, because Zappos definitely lives and breathes by customer service. So those are the kind of thing. But truthfully, I think at the top of the list is this design partner. We can sit down, we can just brainstorm on stuff, and as you say, geek out on just crap and figure something out that everybody wins by. They win, we win, and you know, other people win that work with these guys too. So that's really a primary focus.
So if now we're talking about the weather, I mean, where's this going? What's the next frontier in programmatic? What are we going to be talking about up here next year?
Well, so you know, our mission is to try to use as much possible data to be able to target the ads. And the way we think about it, there's essentially what we think of as consumer data, which is properties about the user. And so we're constantly trying to deepen our roster of data on consumers, so that as we mine it, we could target in. But also all like the other contextual data, right? So I think, and to me, weather is like contextual data in the sense that it's the context in which the consumer finds itself in that moment in time, right? And one of the areas that I think is most exciting is around the kind of the behaviors as it relates to desktop and mobile and location. So now it's still early times, because it's still very hard to tie, say, a consumer that's on their desktop device to their mobile device, figure out it's the same consumer, figure out where they are. But there's material progress that's been made in that direction every single day. And so I think, you know, a year from now, hopefully the progress will be enough that you could see something like what we've done with the weather on Zappos on display, on desktop, to be extended to across device, across channel.
And know that I'm the same person when I log off my desktop and pull out my phone.
Exactly.
And I'm the same person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that challenge that
it's a tough challenge, but there's not just choice. There's a lot of smart minds in the industry that are trying to figure that out. And you know, at the end of the day, I think it's something that'll delight consumers, right? Because advertising gets a little bit of a bad rep. A lot of times, like, oh, the ads, I hate the ads. But the ads are what give you the free content, right? And I think people do like their free content. And so if you want the free content, you kind of have to see ads. And wouldn't you rather see good ads than bad ads,
as long as they're relevant and they're not like just throwing stuff at you that you don't even care about. Like, we have a pretty strong retargeting program. And that's really important to us, is to stay relevant, not to be annoying and stalkerish. And you know, that early on, we got all those 4 or 5 years ago, we launched a retargeting campaign. We got, you know, they're stalking, they're, you know.
You were ubiquitous for a while there.
Yeah.
we pulled.
Actually, I believe in the Wall Street Journal. I think the Wall Street Journal called you a stalker.
It was you that said that.
Oh, really?
No.
I don't remember. We've got a couple of minutes left. Are there questions out there? Is anybody? There may be moderators, there may be the old hand raise. Kind of hard to see. I don't see any. We'll just keep going.
I can't see either.
It's a little bright out there.
Yeah.
I'll just resort to my little crib sheet here. Oh, there is. Okay, great.
Yeah, what kind of like high frequency advertising services are you guys using?
What kind of high frequency? What do you mean by high frequency?
So, like you were talking about retargeting, and I'm curious as to like when I see my Zappos ad, like what kind of services are you using on that side? Are
you asking what company we use?
Yeah.
So great question. I can't openly disclose partnerships necessarily, but I'm happy to chat with you afterward. And kind of talk to you through who we use and why we're using this company. We're just not allowed to sit there and go.
Oh, but let's try to answer it a little more generally. So aside from the spunk factor and the partner, are there other qualities you're looking for in some of those?
Yeah, so I think the scale and reach for us is a big deal in our retargeting, but also somebody that had enough levers to pull. So in other words, we could adjust frequency, we can adjust based on recency, their clickstream, what they did. You know, did they make a purchase in X number of days? Don't show them that same product, but maybe show them similar products or different SKUs. So just a multitude of levers we can pull in real time. And one of the things we measure in our retargeting program, and this was a big deal for us and who we chose to go with as well, is this measurement of negative sentiment. So we watch this daily. So we know if someone, the consumer's unhappy, they have a way to reach out to us via these ads. And we measure it based on how many impressions are out there and how much negative sentiment. And so we can pull levers based on that. So we'll pull back on, daily, we manage it. We'll pull back where you see less of them if we're starting to really piss people off. So, I mean, those are kind of some of the things we picked this partner because we could do a lot of lever pulling on a daily basis. Very, very flexible.
And if I could jump in to sort of ask the answer, like the flip side from my point
Well, I was
of
going to
view.
ask you that, but although you're the seller, so you can't be quite as picky about it.
I can't,
what customers you get to use, right?
But I do, for a living, I look at what else is out there, right, and try to compare myself. My goal in life is to sort of be the best provider possible. And actually, Zappos' whole focus on service is something that ChoiceStream has completely internalized as a mission for our company to be very, very service-oriented. I happen to have to buy a car for my teenage son because I didn't want him driving my car, so I had a $3,000 budget. I went to Craigslist, and I came to the conclusion that choosing an ad tech vendor is like buying a used car on Craigslist. It's very, very hard to find a good one, right? And so the one thing that I would say is like look for transparency. If you're out there and you're making marketing services stack decisions for your organization, you're trying to find someone to help you spend your marketing dollars, find a company that's willing to share with you every last bit of data that they have and that they explain to you exactly what their systems is doing. And if they can't do that, you really should wonder why that's the case and move on to the next one.
But are there, I was thinking in the customer sense for you, are there things you look when potential customers
what makes
approach
a good
you?
Customers?
Are there things that you're looking for other
Sure,
than the fact that they'll pay their bills? Other than the fact that they'll pay their bills, yeah.
And you would be surprised how difficult it is to find one of those. But no, I look for rational customers. Because you see, and what I mean by rational customers, I think there's too many people that have just too rigid criteria. They'll come and they say, I need to hit a CPA goal of 20 bucks. And the reality is that there's a spectrum at which you get a certain amount of people for 20, you get more for 25, you get less for 18, whatever it is, and someone that you can have a dialogue. It's very important to us to have customers where we can have a dialogue around how things are going and sort of make decisions jointly, as opposed to just being firewalled as like the vendor, customer relationship.
Okay, well, I see we're out of time, so we're going to skip away here and move on to the next panel.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.